live in Indiana, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway is hallowed ground. And for the driver beside me right now, a podium finish in USF 2000. Huge for his career, Elliot Cox. We're getting set to go with USF Pro 2000, the back end of their triple header, but he's coming to USF 2000 on the podium at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Give me your thoughts right now.
It's kind of indescribable. We've been chasing a podium since last season. We've always been right on the edge, multiple top fives, multiple fourth place finishes, just always right on that edge. And to get it done and get my first podium at my home track and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway is amazing. To get my first podium with Sarah Fisher Hartman Racing, our one-car team, we've worked so incredibly hard to get where we are now, and it's just going to keep getting better.
Let's talk about it. You started in USF Juniors, then you moved to the USF 2000 category, but I feel like it's a bit of a mindset change for you this year, really focusing on trying to finish some races and letting your speed come through.
Yeah, no doubt. Last year I kind of forced way too many issues, was way too aggressive in some cases. This year I'm kind of coming at it with a mindset of I have to be consistent, and you have to finish the races to be in the championship battle, and that's really what we're going for this year. We're starting to claw back those points that we lost in New Orleans and just staying focused, staying in the game, staying consistent, and not crashing out in all those races is my big goal here. So
you said single car team, but you have a lot of partners on board. Tell me a bit about some of the partners you have.
Absolutely. We have Drive Planning, Kelly Landscaping, Elite Performance, Alderson Commercial Group, E&G Media Growth, Intrago. So many partners, everybody doing their little part. I think we had 120 people out in the suite, as well as the whole, it feels like state of Indiana was out to support this year. So it's absolutely incredible.
So USF Pro 2021 drivers getting set to go. Let's come to you. You've been on track already. For the people watching at home, what did you feel the track was like? It always changes with all that rubber going down.
Absolutely. Yesterday before the race, there were only 2 or 3 other on-track sessions besides the USF Pro Championships. Today there's been 8 or 9. So definitely a lot more grip out there this morning, a lot more understeer in the track and the car. We figured that out. But yeah, definitely I think you can expect more late braking moves. There's more rubber offline, so I think it'll be very exciting.
Good insight here from Elliot Cox coming off that fantastic podium finish in USF 2000 race number 2. All these drivers having to adapt to the changing conditions here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. One thing is constant between the two of these fields. They're getting paced by a brand new car up front. Honda, a new partnership with Anderson Promotions in the USF Pro Championships. Let's learn more about the new partnership for 2024. Big news in April, a brand new partnership between Anderson Promotions, the USF Pro Championships presented by Continental Tire, and American Honda. This partnership will see this beautiful new Honda Civic Type R pace car pace our field at all of our events here in 2024. It's the fastest production Honda ever built, 315 horsepower. This thing will get around the track quickly in front of our cars. And of course, on all 4 corners, Continental Extreme Contact Sport Plus tires. It's a fantastic new association. Let's talk to the major players of this partnership. Dan, exciting news here in the spring. Anderson Promotions, a new partnership with Honda. Let's talk a bit about that.
Yeah, it was actually it came together very quickly, and it was really good for us. And I hope it's good for Honda, too. We were in need of a new pace car, and I met with Chuck Shifsky of American Honda, and we came to an agreement to provide a pace car at all of our races on all of the weekends that we travel to. Good exposure for Honda at some events where maybe their pace car isn't involved, and great partnership for us. I've long admired what Honda has done in racing, and it's been terrific getting involved with them finally at last.
15 years for the Anderson Promotions and, of course, the USF Pro Championships presented by Continental Tire to connect with such an iconic brand like Honda.
Yeah, it's really good for us. I'm looking forward to doing more with them down the road. We'll see how this all develops, but they've been involved in open-wheel racing in the past, and we're hoping that their involvement with us will bring them dividends and will help our program.
Joining me right now from American Honda, Chuck Shifsky. And Chuck, give me your thoughts on working with Anderson Promotions.
Well, it's been great so far. Dan and I started having a conversation kind of in the off-season, and it was one of those things where Honda being a youthful brand, exciting, driving innovation, and Dan said, well, we should get together, put this together, and we'll start with a pace car. I figured it's great having the young drivers out following that pace car around, gets them thinking about Honda and looking towards the future.
Yeah, 20-plus young kids in both the categories chasing that Type R. That looks pretty good out there.
It does. It does. Car looks good. You know, it's got the wing on the back. They probably all run it in their video games at home anyway already, so why not have a Civic Type R out leading the field?
And they're chasing a Honda right now. You never know. They might be driving a Honda in the future.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the idea. That's what Dan and I started talking about, was these guys are all going to be headed towards IndyCar, hopefully at some point, and hopefully into Hondas.
Yeah, whether they're in a Type R in the streets or in a Honda and an IndyCar, that's what this partnership is all about.
You can feel confident Continental is the smart choice in tires.
And they handle extremes?
Yep. Tested from the Texas desert to near the Arctic Circle.
Really?
Really.
Anything for the guy who finds that one pothole?
Yeah, road hazard coverage has your back.
For real?
Absolutely.
Were they made by like a bajillion engineers?
Well, closer to 100. Continental. Welcome to the smart choice in tires.
Over the years, we've chased down a lot of dreams, each one leading to the next, all the way to our most electrifying dream yet. Introducing the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue. Made to inspire the newest generation of dreamers so they can make their dreams a reality. The all-new, all-electric Prologue from Honda.
And indeed, welcome back to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Feature there on the brand new Honda Civic Type R pace car that we have as our new partnership with American Honda, the Anderson Promotions, and the USF Pro Championships presented by Continental Tire. Field on the mock grid right now, back part of the paddock area. Will roll themselves out there right now. We'll see all 21 of our drivers get on track and up here onto pit lane. Again, getting things set to go for the VP Racing Grand Prix of Indianapolis. There's the shot there of the drivers just by our paddock area on the grid, getting set to roll out for the back-end race of the triple header. My name's Rob Howden, joined, of course, by the voice here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway here early throughout the day here today. Greg Rakestraw alongside me. We'll come to him as well. A driver for Exclusive Autosport in the USF 2000 category, Thomas Schrag. Greg, let's come to you. IndyCar just wrapping up their warm-up session. Always exciting for us to see so many drivers that have been part of the USF Pro Championships over the years. But you were with me this morning. That was a wild race in USF Pro 2000, and I think we're going to see another one here. Warmer temperatures, a little more grip.
I'm just happy in terms of the last race that we saw that one of those guys that was involved in that last lap crash is with us in the booth and is doing okay in the USF 2000 series. Obviously, you're referencing the Pro 2000 series, and this has been a tremendously busy weekend for those drivers, knowing this is now race number 3. And again, can Nikita Johnson repeat what he did in the first 2 races? Let's take a look back at that crash that completed the USF 2000 race.
Yeah, this is the end here. This was the battle for the lead. Evan Cooley on the inside, and on the outside, Nico Christodoulou. It's actually Thomas Schrag beside me. He wasn't involved in that. He was in another incident. But, Thomas, you saw that there. That was your teammate, Evan Cooley. Listen, that's the kind of stuff that happens. Your incident, very similar, where a driver got into the back of you but didn't get the front tire in front of the rear tire. That's the biggest problem. When you interlock wheels, that's when something like that can happen.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when I think about it, yesterday could have been a lot worse. Yeah. I let go of the wheel fast, and lucky that I got in the grass. I was more mad about that, honestly, as it could have turned into something big, and I didn't have any damage. I made it through the weekend without any damage, so I'm happy.
You didn't get to the end to see the checker flags. I said in that race yesterday, you showed so much great speed here throughout the weekend. It's a shame that you weren't able to get some results from it as well. We'll come back to Thomas throughout the race here as well. The drivers, as you see, working out onto the track here right now. In fact, Thomas, let's bring you back in right now because this is a good time to do this. Track's going to change a bit here. You've run a number of races. These guys are coming out right after an NTT IndyCar Series session. How does that affect the track in terms of the rubber that gets laid down? How does it affect you guys how you have to handle the surface?
Lots of understeer, and understeer is something you have to predict. It's really unpredictable after NTT IndyCar goes out, but we did our best this morning to loosen up the car, and it wasn't even enough.
Really?
So they hadn't even been out. I can't imagine what it's like now.
Especially with the cars here in the USF Pro 2000, a lot heavier steering than USF 2000, bigger wheels, bigger brakes, more aerodynamic downforce. We crank on another 80 horsepower, moving from 170 up into 250 horsepower for the drivers here at the very top of this program, our USF Pro Championships ladder. And again, drivers rolling out here onto the grid. We'll get set to start and give you the lineup as 21 drivers will be ready to roll here for the VP Racing Grand Prix of Indianapolis. As I said, a 25-lapper. The temperature now up to 66 degrees, just 55 when we started the day. Got to about 59 during the USF 2000 race, and it's gone up to what we expected, about 66 degrees. But the track temp still only about 99 as the drivers coming back out to do it again. Nikita Johnson will start on the pole position. We'll talk about that briefly when we get back to the front of the grid. One of the bigger stories, I think Simon Sykes making a really good call with his Pabst Racing team to put fresh tires on late in that run and get out, get some clean air and be able to get a better time. He did not set a qualifying time after an issue on the opening lap there. Started the first 2 races from the tail of the field, and that call to put fresh rubber on allowed him to use the fastest lap of race number 2 to set the grid for race 3. And that's how we do it in qualifying here. In qualifying, the single car qualifying session, the single qualifying session, fastest lap sets the grid for race 1, second fastest lap for grid race number 2 or 3, but you can use your fastest lap from the race if it's faster than your qualifying time, and that worked for Simon Sykes. Field rolling into the position here on pit lane. Let's have a look at the 21 cars that are set to go. Tail of the field, we talk all about the young drivers here of this USF Pro Championships. I don't care how old you are, you can still go racing. 60 years young, Charles Finelli for Fat Boy Racing in the number 83, starting at the tail of the field, an off-season exercise and fitness program, health program. He's dropped a bunch of weight, got much stronger than he was last year, looking very good, and has picked up a couple of seconds as a result as well. He'll start 21st. Row number 10, we'll see Artie Flores out of Mexico for BN Racing in the number 78 machine. He'll start on the outside. Inside from nearby Plainfield, Indiana, Logan Adams for Comet Racing. Again, a legendary family. His grandfather, Mark Dismore, raced here at the Speedway. Adams was very strong in race number 1. Wasn't able to go in race number 2 with a fuel pump issue. They're hoping they have that dialed in. There's young Logan Adams right now getting ready to roll. We'll go up to row number 9 now on the outside. It's, in fact, all turn 3 on row 8 and row 9. Row 9, it will be Tyke Durst on the inside in the 33. And that driver right there, Ethan Ho out of Los Angeles, California, the number 68. As I said, his teammate Tyke Durst, both those drivers rookies here in USF Pro 2000. Tyke Durst starting in the 17th position. Moving now up into row number 8 on the outside, Danny Dashelski, just 15 years of age, the rookie in the number 3 machine, set to roll off from 16th. And alongside him, the Irishman, Adam Fitzgerald, another one of the Turn 3 Motorsports drivers in the number 2. Fitzgerald's had some good runs so far. Didn't get one in race 2, was a top 10 finisher in race number 1. That's where he wants to be to cap off this triple header. We'll go down to row number 7 on the outside. Ricardo Escoto for BN Racing, a winner here last year. And the number 77, he's looking to improve his fortunes after an issue in race number 2. Escoto was top 5, top 10 in race 1. The speed is there for the Mexican driver in the 77. He'll start alongside Brazilian Nicolas Monteiro for D-Force Racing in the number 9. Row number 6, starting 12th on the outside from Bogota, Colombia. BN Racing's Nico Baptiste has had a strong weekend as well. He's been running in the top 10 throughout the entire weekend. So Baptiste rolling off from 12th. Alongside him from Mexico, George Garce Arce for D-Force Racing in the number 10. We'll roll our way into the top 10 right now. Frankie Mossman out of California for Jay Howard Driver Development in the number 6, starting in the 10th spot. Alongside him, multi-time winner in the series, Christian Brooks, full season running with Pabst Racing in the number 19. Still a rookie, though. He'll start 9th inside of row number 5. Row 4 moving up, Jace Denmark from Pabst Racing. A good run for Jace to P4 in race number 2. He'll look to try to get on the podium here. The Arizona driver now living here in Indianapolis in the number 20, starting 8th. Alongside him, the Canadian who's had no luck here this weekend. 2 DNFs, Matt Clark in the number 7 for D-Force Racing. Hoping things have got dialed in the car. He'll launch from the inside of row 4. Row 5 will have Braden Eves, former USF 2000 champion for Exclusive Auto Sport. Good speed for Braden. Top 5 finish in race number 2. Has had speed all weekend long. Look for him to try to work his way to the podium in the number 92 machine. He'll start alongside NOLA winner Hunter Yaney for TJ Speed Motorsports in the number 27. Row number 2, Lockie Hughes, a winner in the opening round at the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, still in the championship fight on the podium, both race 1 and race 2. In fact, he's never finished off the podium in 2 years racing here in USF 2000 and USF Pro. He'll start P4 alongside TJ Speed Motorsports, Liam Skeets, another driver with a couple of podiums on the day. The Kiwi looking good here in Indianapolis. 21 drivers in the field, 2 on the front row. I mentioned the great call, the strategy move to put some fresh tires on the car for Simon Sykes, the USF 2000 champion from last year. He's wearing the scholarship colors, having won that money to move forward to USF Pro. Running with Pabst Racing, this will be a better place for Sykes to potentially work his way up to maybe a race win, at least a podium. Driver they've been chasing all weekend long, though, Nikita Johnson for VRD Racing, the number 17, getting set to go from P1. Johnson and Sykes will be on the front row. Time to get things underway, folks. We have 21 drivers ready to fire up those elite engines, and it's time to make it happen. We will go down to guests of guests of VP Racing for our command here right now. It is Jeff and Ryan McKebbin.
On behalf of VP Racing, drivers, start your engines.
I like it. In duo. Well done. Thank you to Ryan. Thank you to Jeff. Got a lot of good guests here from VP Racing up in the booth in the tower earlier. We had Miles Rowe, our USF Pro 2000 champion, come to talk to a bunch of our VP guests up in our tower suite. So we've been hosting them down in our hospitality area as well. Continental Tires, VP Racing, fantastic partners here for this program. And again, we talked all about that. Was kind of one of the big transitions here for 2024. After many years with Cooper Tires, we moved to Continental, and the feedback from the drivers has been fantastic. And you know what? While they roll off, good opportunity. Let's come back to Thomas Schrag, because Thomas, you ran on the Coopers last year. You've moved to the Continentals. Thoughts on the tires? Because all the feedback I've got so far has been super positive.
Well, I actually raced F1600, and Hoosier tires were mostly the same compound, adjusted.
Agreed. Yeah.
So I did have a tough time adjusting. I feel like the Coopers, made me rely on the wheel of the car a lot more, and I really got used to that last year. Although I wasn't in the car much in 2023, I got used to the Coopers, and then switching back was a big change up.
I can understand that, because I think people don't realize exactly how much of the dynamics of the car relies on the tire itself, the compound, the sidewall construction. It's just something that you really have to get used to. We've had drivers come from Europe on a different tire, running a Pirelli, whatever it may be, really having trouble transitioning, especially during qualifying, to try to maximize the tire itself.
Yeah, it seems like the Continentals don't like to be loaded as much. Really soft sidewall. We found out a lot of things, and even the spike in braking and brake pressure has been a lot different for me. And I found success doing different things that I never would have did last year.
Great insight here from Thomas Schrag from Exclusive Autosport. Greg?
As you were rattling through the cars from 21 to 1 in terms of the starting grid, there was one car that you talked about. It has had some bad luck that I go, I don't think that car's on the grid. That was Matt Clark. He is on it now. He was able to get onto the grid on time. And so if you're looking at a car that's kind of charging forward there, it was Clark getting to his starting spot in row number 4.
Thank you for Greg for picking that up. Obviously, Matt Clark, I know they had some issues with the car yesterday, and it was overheating a little bit in the race here today. They had to swap a motor, I think, last night. The team stayed very late, and so kudos to all the crew at D-Force Racing. We're here super late getting an engine swapped over for Matt Clark. And again, he's looking to change his fortunes. It's been a tough weekend. Both Thomas Schrag sitting beside me right now and Matt Clark not getting results in either of the events. So guaranteed Mac's going to hopefully. And listen, the bottom line for Mac is he started coming in here, he's 4th in points. And so last thing you want to have is a couple of DNFs. He's looking to kind of recover here and potentially at least get a salvage a solid top 10. As then we then moved to, of course, IRP, the Carb Night Classic, where he was able to win last year in USF 2000, the Freedom 75. Field now set, getting ready to roll. Nikita Johnson on the inside, Simon Sykes on the outside, Liam Skeets and Lockie Hughes on row number 2, and then, of course, Hunter Yaney and Braden Eves on row 3. They'll work their way through 12, 13, and out onto the front straightaway here. It's Johnson as the pole sitter. Simon Sykes on the outside, a change of fortune with the strategy to put him up front, not mired back at the tail of the field like he was earlier. Field set, looking good. Green, 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 and we're underway. Simon Sykes going to try to hold the spot. Here comes the move for Lockie Hughes. Let's make it 3 wide. How about 4 wide? Coming down into turn number 1. Way to the outside goes fast Frankie Mossman. We're thinking 4 or 5 wide. Coming around the corner. I think Hughes is going to come out with this one. Through turn number 1. Hughes, I believe, in the position. Indeed, he is. Hughes goes P1. A little bit of adjustment there, correction for Simon Sykes, mid-corner of 2. Car got away from him a little bit, but he was able to pull it back in. He holds on to 3rd. I think Liam Skeets potentially slotting now into the 4th position. But a great start for Lockie Hughes from the outside of row number 2. Got a good run way to the outside. Mossman tried to do it as well, but coming across from left to right, it is a lead right now for Lockie Hughes, and he needs a victory here. He leads Johnson as they come through side-by-side action there with, I believe, Liam Skeets and potentially Braden Eves now up into the fight there, but we'll see how it shakes out. Opening laps getting underway. Everybody digging. Oh, there's some side-by-side action. Eves a little further back. I had said 4th. I think that actually might have been Braden, or rather Hunter Yaney had got up to the spot there. So there's Hughes. Indeed, that's Skeets and then Yaney. Yes, so Yaney now running in the 5th spot. Opening lap settling in pretty good so far. They'll work their way out of 12, 13. Oh, there's a tough run there. Driver getting moved out there a bit. Being told a driver potentially spinning coming out of turn 12. I think it was the back part of the screen there. A driver may have gone around in the exit or entry into turn number 12. But we are across the line for the first time. Hughes, Johnson, and then Sykes. Look at this move. Johnson trying around the outside. He'll go to the outside here coming through turn number 1. Lockie Hughes not wanting to give it up at all. See them coming out of that corner. We'll pick up that lead because we were side by side coming through. No, we've lost the leaders again. We'll hope to pick them up when they come through 3, 4, and 5 because it looked like to me like Johnson potentially was making that move around the outside. He does not. It is still great job. Still Hughes holding back Johnson. Being told right now the start is under review. You wonder if somebody maybe popped out early. That might have been Mossman in the back. So Frankie Mossman looked like he may have popped out early, and that could be a penalty for him. One driver to pit lane, Tyke Durst. It has not been a good weekend for Tyke. Greg, he's back into pit lane again.
He has not run the full amount of laps in either of the previous 2 races. Was kind of off and on the circuit in race number 2 this morning. So sadly, the struggles for the turn 3 motorsport driver continue.
Thomas, let's talk about the starts here. You know, turn number 1 is absolutely crazy. Like I said, calling essentially 4, almost 5 wide rundown. What are your thoughts when you're not on that front group, like you're right behind them where you were? What do you got to do to get through turn 1?
Well, you've got to check your mirrors, obviously. You know, I like the middle of the track, and I said that in the pre-race yesterday. You know, I race in the runoffs here. The middle prevails a lot of the times. And, you know, it's a place that I feel safe. I don't like the outside. It can work, but if you're 3, 4 wide, you do get shoved off.
Exactly
so,
that, yeah.
Middle's a good spot. Bottom's always good, too.
Indeed, there you go. Middle, bottom, but maybe not the top coming through turn number 1.
You know what is also a good spot? Around Nikita Johnson, because he has gone around Lockie Hughes to be in the lead as we start lap number 3. Again, looking to make it a sweep of all 3 USF Pro 2000 races. Hughes had the first couple of laps. Johnson now has charge to the front.
Indeed, Johnson out front, and the number 7 has come to pit lane. That is again Matt Clark. So whatever the issues plaguing that machine for Matt Clark, he is back to pit lane. What a rough weekend here at Indianapolis after being a front runner last year here in USF 2000. Pack things up and look forward to the Freedom 90 at the Carbonite Classic. See if he can't recapture some of the magic that he had on the oval last year in USF 2000. Johnson leads, Hughes 2nd, Sykes in 3rd, Liam Skeets 4th, and Hunter Yaney 5th. Frankie Mossman 6th spot, but a potential penalty for Mossman depending on what they say on the review of the start. Jace Denmark runs 7th, Nicholas Baptiste in 8th, Ricardo Scotto in 9th, and Braden Eves, who started 6th, is now back into the 10th spot. We kind of saw that out of Eves early. He fell back a little bit, then the car started to come to him midway through the race, Greg, earlier today, and was able to come up to a nice top 5 finish.
And again, Eves is a young man that's kind of been around this circuit for a while, so he's got some racing experience. So a little longer in the tooth than some of his competitors. He can have some confidence in the car that he can make those moves later in the race.
Interesting. We haven't really brought it up yet for Braden Eves as we continue to watch the action here. He's had a lot of ups and downs. We'll get back to Braden as these drivers are really scrapping it out a bit further back. A couple of D-Force drivers. One of the turn 3 cars is in there as well. I want to say that's potentially just right behind Christian Brooks, Braden Eves, George Garcia Arce, Nicholas Montiero, and Ethan Ho back into a pretty aggressive battle like we had earlier. We had a couple of really good groups in that first race where there was packs of 4 cars that were really scrapping it out. Let's have a look at your leaders coming through here again. That's the gap right now for Johnson. Simon Sykes up into 2nd. He's been able to get by Lockie Hughes as well, so that move, the strategy call to bring Sykes in for tires, has worked out thus far as he's now running P2. Hughes in 3rd, Skeets still 4th. A couple of podiums already for Liam Skeets. Hunter Yaney in the 4th spot. Braden East falling outside the top 10 now to 11th position. But otherwise, people settling in early. Again, 25 laps. This is only lap number 3. Just getting things underway here for USF Pro 2000. The back end of a triple header here. The VP Racing Grand Prix of Indianapolis. And we'll get the opportunity to talk, a little bit about the equipment here as well for those of you trackside who may not know a lot about it. All the cars on the Tadish chassis, the same carbon fiber monocoque for all 3 levels of the program: USF Juniors, USF 2000, and USF Pro 2000. Continental tires all the way around. Our new partner here that we'll have for multiple of years here. Great to be working now with Continental, and all the engines as well built by Elite Engines out of Wisconsin. That company owned and operated by 1998 Indianapolis 500 Rookie of the Year Steve Knapp, his son Logan, technical director there now, and they're trackside at all of our events to keep up all of these spec sealed power plants. 250 horsepower for the drivers here in the USF Pro 2000 category. And again, Nikita Johnson, that lead now a full second. He tries to pull away here from Simon Sykes.
And Rob, maybe the best racing on the track is area headed into 7 and kind of out of Holman Boulevard and back towards the mounds and turn 2 of the oval configuration is kind of the back end of the train of this lead lap. Maybe the guys that are, say, 13 through 17 right now, they're the ones that are trying to kind of weave in and out of traffic to find a way to pick up a place or two with a lot of this race still left to go.
Here's Christian Brooks right there. That's 10th. There's Eves in 11th. And there's 12th, which is Garcia. Then Montiero. And then Ho, Fitzgerald. Logan Adams is there as well, as is Danny Jashelski. So that's really, essentially 10th or 12th back to 17th. I believe the spinner early was the 78 of Arturo Flores. I think he went around. Charles Finelli potentially as well. He currently runs 18th. Matt Clark and Tyke Durst, both drivers, have retired, I believe, from this event now. 5 laps in the books now for Nikita Johnson, out to a full second, just under a second, 0.98 the gap between he and Simon Sykes. Simon a little bit quicker, actually, on that last lap. And again, Sykes, USF 2000 champion from last year, certainly knows how to win. Looking to get that first USF Pro 2000 category victory here in Indianapolis.
And Rob, to put this in perspective, by the end of the race, Johnson's lead was right around 6.7, 6.8 seconds. It was the 3rd largest margin of victory that this series has had in the time they have run here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
No doubt about it. VRD's had a good weekend here, winning, of course, with Max Taylor as well. Big victory for Max Garcia in the USF 2000 race after the incident that happened in turn number 1 that we saw at the start of the race there, the contact between Evan Cooley and Nico Christodoulou. And again, great to report that Christodoulou was fine, got out of the car. That Tatis machine, the monocoque, and of course the carbon fiber tub and the halo doing its job for him as well. This is where you kind of settle in. Drivers kind of just getting focused, seeing where you are. I talked about this in the keys to the race in earlier events, that oftentimes at races here, the field does kind of break up a little bit. And if you don't get too impatient early, you get yourself settled in and then see what kind of a car you have and potentially able to reel in the driver in front of you. Thomas, what do you do when you're in the middle of a race like this that's kind of gapped up a little bit? Does the car start coming to you? Can you change the way you drive it a little bit in terms of trying to find some more pace?
Yeah, I definitely think you can change how you drive. It kind of depends on how your car feels. For me, I like it to be loose, so I've got to settle down a bit, actually, throughout the race. And both of my incidents this weekend have happened right around this time in the race. Okay. Just impatient from behind and, just settling in. So you try to look and kind of gauge where you're at. And on the start, I was within the top 5. Good enough place for me to actually do some work from.
Yeah, exactly that. And again, we talk about that, is that those opening couple of laps, you can see how things have spread out here right now. Yeah, early on, you're in a big pack, you're battling. But this racetrack, just the kind of way it's designed with some of the faster corners, drivers behind you will get a bit of aero wash. They struggle to stay there right with you at times. So like Thomas said, he was in the top 5. He could work with that. He could make some moves and kind of handle and adjust the way he drives the car. Drivers who are doing that right now, biggest movers right now through about 5 or 6 laps of this race. Frankie Mossman started 10th, up 4 spots into 6th. Ricardo Escoto, we talked about him, started 14th. He's up 5 spots into 9th. Ethan Ho started 18th. He's up to 13th now. And Baptiste, who started 12th, now up into the 8th position. Make that 9th now for Nicholas Baptiste. So there are drivers making moves.
In our previous race, again, the 2 fastest laps, Nikita Johnson and Simon Sykes. Sykes, the alternate strategy. Johnson simply having great horsepower from the front of the field. The last several laps, those drivers have run the gap is right at a second between the two of them, but they're almost running simultaneous speeds on the racetrack. That last lap, Sykes was faster by 29 thousandths of a mile an hour. Again, almost running the exact same speed around the facility.
Yeah, just a little bit here and a little bit there. And at that point, when you're kind of running the same, Simon's where he is right now, doesn't want to get potentially too close to start getting that aero wash. And Tom, let's come back to you. Let's talk about aero wash. Let's talk about draft. Where Simon's running on the racetrack now, next time you see him, is he getting any draft at that point, or does he need to get to within more of a second?
He's definitely getting draft right now. The aero wash might not be big, but as he gets closer, it's going to get tougher to get around Nikita.
And where are you going to see that aero wash? Is it turn 4? Is that some of the places turn 14?
Yeah, I would say turn 14 and turn 4. Big places, long duration corners are where understeer happens.
And that's got to be tough coming onto the front straightaway, knowing that's the big run down to one of the primary passing points too.
Yeah, for sure. I think honestly in the USF 2000, the aero wash might be a little bit worse. But these guys got a lot more downforce than us, so I've never drove a USF Pro car before, but I can only imagine how much air wash you get from behind someone who's even quick like Nikita.
Indeed, right? And how about this battle we're seeing kind of develop here right now as well? That is Liam Skeets trying to hold off Hunter Yaney, but right there as well is Frankie Mossman and Jace Denmark. So remember that time we had a little bit of a breather there through lap 5 to 7 to lap 8? Starting to step things up in a couple of areas. Hunter Yaney dialing things in to try to close up on Liam Skeets, who has a couple of podium finishes already here at the event. Nikita Johnson, there's the lead again, and nicely into third is Lockie Hughes by himself. Then that next group of Skeets and Yaney. And then you've got Frankie Mossman battling it out here as well with Jace Denmark, Ricardo Scotto right there, as is Nicholas Baptiste and Christian Brooks. I think Brooks may have gotten by Baptiste as Christian tried to work his way back forward. Brooks started 9th. That's kind of where he's running here, 9th or 10th, so hasn't been able to improve any positions forward. Johnson still leading, trying to go 3 for 3 on the day. Sykes right there, as we said, very similar lap times, maybe about a 10th slower on that last lap. The gap now just over a second, 1.029 now for Johnson over Sykes. Oh, here comes a run here. There's Frankie Mossman. Right behind him is Jace Denmark. He'll go to the bottom of the track. This is the draft that Thomas was talking about. Big pull forward, and Jace is going to try to keep him down. You don't want to go too wide. You want to get the job done. Comes back across. Mossman's going to try to go to the outside. Book it. He is through, and that is Jace Denmark up into 6th. P4 in race number 2, and he's trying to get his way into the top 5. That is 9 laps down. Still a lot of laps still to go here. 16 laps remaining. Early running.
And Rob, you mentioned that Denmark finish for the last race. That was bumping up 9 positions.
Yeah.
He started inside row 7, finished just off the podium in 4th in the last race this morning.
Yeah, started 8th in this one, now running up into the 6th position, so a couple of positions forward. We'll keep an eye on his pace, though, depending on where he is compared to that Hunter Yaney-Liam Skeets battle. I have a feeling that gap with his 1.5 seconds now, it was at least last time by from Yaney back to Mossman. I don't know whether or not they've got the pace. Now, listen, if Denmark can get ahead and get some clean air, he'll be able to move forward. Thomas, talk about that. When you're behind a guy, again, we're talking about the aero wash a little bit, right? He's checking you up a little bit in a couple of corners. What's it feel like when you finally get by him, get that clean air on the car? It must feel like it's a brand new day.
Yeah, it is. But it's also tough to pull away. So, I spent most of today defending Max Garcia, who eventually won the race. Yeah. You got to put yourself in the best position to get a gap when you get onto the front straight. That way you don't have to be attacked into turn 1.
Here's another attack into turn 1, just like he's talking about right there, coming down into the position. Looks like they're going to swap spots coming through. Good racing here, and I think that may have been a Scotto by Mossman as well. So a lot of action happening here up front. They are going at it. Coming across the line, Denmark was 6th, Mossman 7th, Scotto 8th. I don't know if maybe it was Mossman actually going back by Denmark, but that is a bottom line, a great battle right now for 6th, 7th, and 8th, and that's actually going to work out for Hunter Yaney. It's now 2.5 seconds, the gap they have. So there's 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. 4th and 5th, I think we're going to see that battle continue. That's Liam Skeets and Hunter Yaney, and then here's this battle back. Big move to the inside again. This is a great scrap, and hey, this is allowing Christian Brooks to roll up from P9 as well. He's watching these 3 drivers go at it in front of him. Denmark, Mossman, and Scotto, and he's right there already. The draft itself, Thomas, one car, you're going to get the big draft, as you said. What happens if they're 2x2, or at least side-by-side coming down? Is it a significant feel in improvement of draft if they're side-by-side?
No. They slow each other down. And I usually just pick the car that's either in the line that I need at the time or the one that's going faster, obviously.
Exactly that. That there is 4th and 5th. There's Liam Skeets for TJ Speed. Liam Skeets, again, the Kiwi driver, 2nd place this year in the Formula Regional Oceania Championship. Also won the New Zealand Grand Prix. And look at this battle they've got going. Yaney's going to try the outside. You can make it happen on the outside, but it's also fraught with peril. Back to the inside. They're side by side. I'm going to turn number 2. Fantastic. And remember, those drivers are teammates at TJ Speed, so do what you can to bring it home for sure. We'll give a shout out to the people that are supporting Liam Skeets, the Tony Quinn Foundation, Omega Rental Cars. That locked down here as sponsors on his car. So we're thrilled to have Liam over here this year, and we know he's on a tight budget trying to keep this racing going. And indeed, great job for him. Settling in a bit here. Look at this. Look at this fight. This is Christian Brooks has got to the front of that group. I love it. That is a fantastic battle right now. That is Mossman. Actually, it's Brooks now, but Mossman, Escoto, Baptiste, and I believe Braden Eves in there as well now. This is some good stuff. I think George Garcia Arce as well. So really, it's, I think, 6th all the way back to 12th. Good scrap. You watch these guys keep fighting it out. We're only closing in on the halfway point. Thomas, let's talk about the fact that it's tough in this sport. And we've talked to a couple drivers who've been here. We had Ayrton Houck in here yesterday. Racing's one thing, right? You get a chance to drive, and that's part of it, but a very kind of small part of it, to be honest. The business side of this, the sponsorship, the partnership side, I know it's something that you've worked hard at. You've got the resume. You're a Formula 1600 Championship Series title winner. You're part of Team USA. We know you have the skills to get the job done, but you got to have the funding. Talk a little bit about some of the people that you're working with. I know you're working with the Boys and Girls Club as well. Yeah, I've had a lot of guys and girls out here supporting me this weekend. R&D Optical came out this weekend, as well as Remington EDM. I appreciate them a lot. They've done a lot for me. And then obviously Jeremy Shaw from Team USA, he's done a lot in the last 2 years. I can't thank him enough. He's been a great mentor. And, I've got a couple other guys with Corpay Cross Border Solutions and Exclusive Autosport. That's awesome to have the people behind you for sure. Obviously, you're an Ohio guy. Are you looking forward to Mid-Ohio? Is that one of the races you're really kind of pointing on? Or are you a Road America guy? What's a race that we need to look at earlier or later in this year that you're looking at? Well, first off, we go to IRP next. You excited for that? I am. I have a little bit of oval experience, and we tested there in October. And I was just super quick right out of the gate. All right, there you go. Freedom 75 for Thomas for sure. Again, the Ohio driver will be looking forward to the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Looking forward to that weekend where we'll have all 3 of our series, USF Juniors, USF 2000, and USF Pro 2000. Coming up to the halfway point, it'll be cross halfway flags next time by 13. Right now, 13 down, 12 to go for Nikita Johnson. 1.4 second lead out to about, almost a second and a half. But that last time by, Simon Sykes calling in another 0.4 of a second. Greg Sykes not going away yet at all. No, he is running again almost a simultaneous race to Johnson. When I go back kind of the last on-track passes that we had seen, Christian Brooks able to get kind of past that group. He is now into the 7th position. Denmark has kind of broken away from that group. He is currently sitting in 6th. But right now, Brooks has made one of the best moves of the race, get to the number 7 position. And Greg capitalizing on the action that was in front of him, right? He rolled up on 3 drivers who had elbows up and were going at it. Just kind of picked his way through methodically. Here, one pass here, make the move here, and was able to get through, as we saw at turn number 7 a couple of laps ago. So Brooks, who started in the 9th spot, went back to 10th, has fought his way back up to 7th, and that's a veteran driver there. Multi-year championship racer, race winner in national level karting. Of course, moved to USF 2000, was a winner there. He's won before in USF Pro 2000 at St. Petersburg as well, and a full-time season with Pabst Racing for Christian Brooks. You know that the first win of this season just around the corner. He'll be able to get that done sooner or later. He currently runs in 7th. 1.4 seconds of lead, though, for Nikita Johnson. Driver into pit lane and back out. I think that might be one of the turn 3 cars. Could be Tyke Durst. But here come the leaders down once again. Here's the lead. You're going to see it visually. Johnson, Sykes definitely closing now. 1.3 seconds. Lockie Hughes right there. Here's the big battle between Liam Skeets and Hunter Yaney. This is going to be a race-long fight. And you never know. Chase Denmark may get up there. In fact, he was 0.2 quicker than Skeets last time by. He's back by 2.1. He'll need them to fight more. But there, right there in the right side of the screen, that is Chase Denmark digging to try to see if he can't get himself back up to the P4 that he finished in race number 2. Otherwise settling in. Thomas, you have any, when you get to the middle of a race like this and you kind of get in a groove, is it tough to keep the mental focus when you're just trying to bang out lap after lap, entry, apex, exit?
No, I'm more of a rhythm guy, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And the flow of the race, if it gets interrupted, yes, it can hurt sometimes. But other than that, no. Your car might go away a bit, but you want the longevity in your car, and that's something that me and Exclusive Autosport have always worked on.
Exactly that. Yeah, that long run, because at the end, if that car keeps getting good or stabilizes, maybe it's not going to get that much better. You're burning fuel off the entire time, unlike an IndyCar race, Greg, where you're coming in, you're refueling. Our cars get lighter and lighter as you're burning the fuel off throughout the entire run. At the end, if those Continentals are holding on as they often do, you could turn some of your fastest laps at the end of the race.
Absolutely. We saw that with Sykes again. Now, he had come into the pits, but again, we saw that. And honestly, Johnson turned the fastest lap of the race, was the last lap of the race that he ran in the morning session here for the Pro 2000 cars.
1.1 seconds now. Sykes takes another couple of tenths of a second out. I don't know that we're done there yet. So Johnson versus Sykes is a good battle. Skeets versus Yaney for sure, a good scrap as well. As we talked about, Christian Brooks pulling a little bit away here from Frankie Mossman. Otherwise, again, drivers settling in here with 10 more laps remaining and a 25 lapper to cap off what's been a great couple of days here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the drivers in the USF Pro Championships presented by Continental Tire. Racing now in the VP Racing Grand Prix of Indianapolis, a 25 lapper from here. As Thomas has talked about, the next actual race, the event will be the Carbonite Classic at the Indianapolis Raceway Park, where we'll run the Freedom 75 and the Freedom 90. But there's a lot of testing to be done. Teams heading to Mid-Ohio this coming week to test there. Then they're heading up to Road America for a test, coming back for a 4-hour test. As we talked about the fact that Continental Tire is new for us, so they've got a new oval tire. They're going to get 4 hours on the Wednesday before the Friday night Carbonite Classic. Of course, we'll practice and qualify on Thursday as well. So lots to be done, Thomas, for the crew. It feels like it's kind of a bit of a gap, right? But they're going to be on the road for the next couple of days.
Yeah, it's not a gap at all. 2 to 3 days isn't even a race weekend, in my opinion. We spend 4 to 5 days of prep.
Yep,
for each race weekend. So not much time to really relax, but I'm glad that the team is based here in Indy, Exclusive Autosport in Brownsburg, not too far away from here.
Indeed, yeah, able to get the cars turned around again. One of the things that will happen is, so they go from here to Mid-Ohio, then up into Road America, as I said. That's a Monday test. They're literally coming back. The teams will come back on Monday night. We've opened up the paddock at IRP. They'll swap those cars over, as they're going to do, of course, after this weekend for IndyCar. Greg will swap the cars over into oval trim, and then they'll be on the track on the Wednesday 2 days later.
Just love the fact that these young drivers, who again primarily have road and street circuit experience, get that taste of the oval. I think that's just tremendous.
It surprises me a bit, Greg. I talked to a lot of the young drivers earlier in the year, in the off season. We did a good little series run called the Pace Lap early, talking about the new season. And so many drivers were super excited about getting to the oval. And I wonder which drivers will like it, because I think you have to like oval racing if you want to be good at it. But everybody was super excited to get on that high bank 5/8 mile oval.
And again, love being out there at IRP. That is wonderful to hear.
Yeah, indeed. And it's a great race. The Freedom 75 is a big one to win. Not only that, Thomas, 1.5 points as well. If you can get in there, and maybe you've had a little rough stretch like yourself, you go in there, Exclusive Autosport's been strong on the oval. If you get to win that, 45 points can really shake things up in terms of the point standings.
For sure. I think, Nikita just at this point has to really just settle down. Obviously, Sykes is catching him right now, but he has a huge lead in the points, and I've been in this position before as well. And, as long as they're not really my competition in the top 3 to 5, I didn't really worry about it too much. You've got to be consistent and make sure there's not an incident here.
A mature take on that for sure, Greg. And you said he's closed in only 0.6 of a second now. Johnson ahead of Sykes.
Yeah, from our perspective, we kind of watch telemetry. We kind of watch some of the tracking on the track. But there's also just the eyeball test. And as those two passed our position, I go, that's the closest the 18 has been to the 17 in a while. And he has literally gone from a 1.3 second lead to a 0.65 second lead in the last 3 laps. The 18 is absolutely closing in on the number 17.
They are digging in a big way. Simon Sykes, the driver of Augusta, Georgia, USF 2000 champion from last year, still 8 laps to go. the car, is it getting better? In the long run, is it a little bit better? Look at this run here. This is the first and second place drivers coming across the yard of bricks. This is it. It was 0.6 of a second last time by. As they come across, make it 0.3 of a second. Big draft for Simon Sykes. Will he move to the outside? He does. A little come across there as well. Sykes is going to go around the outside at Johnson, trying to hold the spot to the outside. Book it. He is through. Sykes takes over the lead from Nikita Johnson coming through turn number 1. Johnson trying to fight back, but Sykes, the Pabst Racing Machine, has gone to P1. A beautiful pass around the outside. Thomas pretty much textbook, getting the run, move to the outside, and then the race to the exit of turn number 1.
I was a bit surprised that he actually pulled it off, but he carried enough speed to get it done. Obviously, he's defending now, and it looks like he's held on to the lead. He driver coached me, actually, for 1.5 years, so it's a sweet spot for me and Simon. He's helped me out a lot, so it's great to see him doing well.
There you go. Some kind words there from Thomas Schrag. Simon Sykes, a beautiful move around the outside, even caught Thomas off guard a little bit there. I'll tell you, we're not done at all with this, because look at this. Here is, again, first and foremost, it's Nikita Johnson getting aggressive, but look at behind him right now. Right behind them is Lockie Hughes to make it a 3-driver fight up front. The pinch down into turn number 1 took a lot away from Nikita Johnson, and that's going to bring Lockie Hughes into the fight as well. Here comes Lockie. He might get a big run here as well, although Nikita's going to get some help from Sykes. Lockie Hughes with a huge run. It's such a long drive down to the straightaway. Does he have enough to maybe dive to the inside? He does. Hughes going to make a move to the bottom of the racetrack, locks it up. They're side by side coming through turn number 1. Not quite able to get the job done. Hughes will have to reset. And Thomas, talk about that. You make a move like that. You see that you're coming. You lunge to the inside. How long does it take for you to get, do you lose enough speed that you got to take some time to spool it back up?
Yeah, I mean, it can take all the way up until the back straight to get fully going again.
Okay.
You lose a little bit of time, and it's all momentum, and especially turn 4 is a very high-speed, long-duration momentum corner, leading onto a fast back straight.
Got to get through that corner cleanly. We know that. There's the fight a little further back still between Liam Skeets and Hunter Yaney. But again, Lockie Hughes saw his potential shot at it and threw it to the inside, locked up the tire a little bit. Couldn't quite make it stick at the apex, held it back, so did a good job there to avoid any contact. Sykes now out in the lead. Will he get his first USF Pro 2000 win? Will Lockie Hughes start putting some more pressure on Johnson? You know, the draft will come into play once again when they come onto the straightaway. We've been clicking these laps down. 5 laps remaining when they come back around, and this thing has heated up a little bit here. And indeed, Lockie Hughes going to have to, as Thomas said, spool it all back up again. Sykes looks good across the line. Hughes wants to get by here, and everybody knows that right now with the results that Nikita Johnson's been putting down, you got to dig in and get the job done. And I think that Lockie Hughes knows he has got to put Nikita Johnson behind him 100%. He can't finish behind Nikita here if he wants to keep those championship aspirations alive. You don't want to let somebody get away. Because Thomas already talked about it, the fact if you get a good point lead, you can kind of calm down a little bit when you're racing. We saw it last year with Miles Rowe. He won so many races, Greg, at the start of the season that he was able to kind of just didn't need to be as aggressive as he is sometimes. Got a couple of top 5s, that was fine. End up coming away with the championship.
We've had different kind of great races within the race between different packs, and obviously our attention's been focused on 1, 2, and 3. But the guys behind them in 4 and 5, Skeets and Yaney, the teammates, this is as close as they have been throughout the course of this race. So take a look back to those drivers that are currently 4th and 5th, the 26 and 27 cars, as they could be battling for position on a turn-by-turn basis.
You wonder how many times they're on the radio saying, remember that's your teammate, remember that's your teammate, right? Because, again, you want to battle it out. You want to win these races. You want to get the positions wherever it may be. But, man, you got to take care of your teammate.
And what that battle has done, it's allowed Denmark to catch that pack as well. So Jace Denmark now has made up ground on the 4 and 5 positions, too.
So we could have a battle for 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And the same thing goes on right now for 4th, 5th, and 6th, all the way down the bottom of the racetrack for Skeets as he's trying to hold off Yaney. These are the 2 TJ Speed cars side by side coming down the straightaway into turn number 1. There is Jace Denmark trying to capitalize as well. This time Hunter Yaney around the outside, and I think he's going to get the job done. He does. He gets through around the outside. Skeets doing a good job. May have pressured it a little harder. Had it not been his teammate, it was. That has brought Denmark back into it as well. So exciting stuff here, Greg. This is kind of starting to heat up a little bit. Got a little quiet midway through, but somebody threw some gas on the fire on this one.
Well, this is also, again, what happens when you're going to have a no pit stop race in terms of adding fuel. So, again, the cars, frankly, are getting racier as the fuel tanks are kind of getting a little bit smaller here in the final stages of the event.
Hunter Yaney defensive down the inside of turn number 7. You saw that there. Here they are coming through 7, 8, 9, and through turn number 10 now. Denmark right on the gearbox of Skeets, but Liam Skeets trying to find a way by as well. Up front, the gap extending a little bit here for Simon Sykes. All three of those drivers 123.8s last time by. Very similar lap times. And again, lap 22 will now get notched down when they come back onto the front straightaway here. They do have some slower traffic up front in Artie Flores. We'll see whether or not race control asks for him to move over. But as they run right now, there is your lead. There is Flores. But here you go here. Oh, again, now we're seeing Lockie Hughes close back up. And again, we've talked about this a lot, Greg. You've called a lot of races. You know that you're focusing forward, but the minute you have to start focusing backwards a little bit, it's hard to do two things at once.
And this is not a position Johnson has been in all weekend long, and that is really thinking that there's a guy in front of him that is not as close as the guy is behind him. Frankly, for Johnson, the battle may not be for first. The battle may be to hang on to second place.
And I think Lockie Hughes, who had such a rough weekend at NOLA Motorsports Park, is going to put his head down to try to see if he can't get by. He knows that he's got to have a big result here, and getting by Nikita Johnson would be big for him in terms of the championship. It would also be a statement here as well. We know that Nikita won the first two races of the weekend. The second race actually still provisional, has not yet been made official for race number 2. But indeed, we may see a battle here between Nikita Johnson for VRD and Lockie Hughes for Turn 3 Motorsports. So indeed, call coming in to the car number 78 up front to be careful in terms of the fact that the leaders are coming through. 22 laps down, 3 more remaining. The gap last time 0.8 of a second. Sykes about 0.3 quicker than Johnson, who's now getting pressure here. So the bit of more of a gap. The further that Sykes pulls away, the less draft that Johnson's going to be able to leverage, and that may give Lockie Hughes a chance to fight. There's Liam Skeets as well. Remember, Skeets lost that spot. Yaney went to 4th. Skeets now in 5th. Denmark 6th. Brooks 7th. Mossman 8th. Escoto 9th. And Nicholas Baptiste now in the 10th position. Almost done with this one here. 2 to go. I don't think that we're done yet for P2. It looks to me like Sykes pulling away, doing a great job there right now in that number 18 Pabst Racing Machine, the USF Pro Championships scholarship livery on the car, having won the USF 2000 championship last year. That title breathing life into the young Georgian's career. He was in a place where he may have had to look in other ways, to look away from his dream of IndyCar and get a job, as he always said. I got to go get a job, because the bottom line is he just doesn't have the budget. Able to win that scholarship allowed him to continue with Pabst Racing, looking to capitalize here and get that victory.
It sounds like what we tell people, that we don't have real jobs. We get to come to the racetrack or a ball game for a living.
Indeed. There's the driver, number 78, pulling down to the inside. Great job for Flores. This is going to allow things to heat up here right now. 1 lap to go. White flag will fly this time by. Big lead here, and I don't think Lockie Hughes potentially close enough. Simon Sykes coming down here with the white flag. The team will be ready to meet him at the wall. Team owner Augie Pabst back home in Wisconsin with the family for a function. Can he get it done here right now? Simon Sykes, your leader. Little move to the inside, further back. Jace Denmark trying to see if he can't force Skeets into an issue. Right behind them as well is Brooks and Mossman. But final circuit here. Coming through turn number 3 and 4. Big run down the back straightaway and lots of room right now. Last time by, Nikita was a little bit quicker than Sykes, but it's a 0.7 of a second lead. I think he'll be able to run clean. Knowing he's got the championship lead, you doubt that Johnson's going to throw anything crazy at him, because a second place finish still strong in terms of the title. But Simon Sykes has got past the first 2 big challenges, turn 1 and turn 7. He'll work his way out at turn number 10 over to 11. 12 is probably the last opportunity to get the job done. I'll tell you, folks, we've watched this young driver through the last couple of years, a journeyman running a handful of races, never able to put together a full season. Last year, the opportunity with Pabst Racing to go full-time. He pays them off with a championship in USF 2000. and it didn't take long. Great call in qualifying. He'll come out of turn number 13 and 14 onto the front straightaway, and for the first time in USF Pro 2000 for this young driver to Georgia, Simon Sykes is a winner at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Scores the victory by 0.7 of a second over Nikita Johnson. And there is the crew from Pabst Racing loving that one. Big victory for Simon Sykes coming home with the win. Nikita Johnson in second, Lockie Hughes third, Hunter Yaney in fourth, fifth Liam Skeets, TJ Speed fourth and fifth. Johnson and Hughes in 2 years have never finished off the podium. Johnson and Hughes on the podium all 3 races last year, all 3 races this year. They have got things dialed in here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. But I'll tell you, it is going to be a happy Simon Sykes when he rolls down here into victory lane. Huge one for Simon Sykes. And the first win for Pabst Racing here in Pro 2000 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Greg, again, we talk about it a lot. 5 races here this weekend, just getting a chance to win it in Indianapolis. Number one, race it in Indianapolis, and then win it in Indianapolis.
And this all goes back to the mid-race call in the second race to come in and get fresh tires and kind of sacrifice your position, having to start at the back because of the issue a day ago.
Yeah.
And if you don't make that call, you're not a race winner here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Didn't get a chance to qualify, so they put the fresh tires on for race 2 to use that fast lap to improve his grid position up to P2. You saw the results there. Sykes, Johnson, Hughes, Yaney, and Skeets top 6. There's your, again, unofficial results. Christian Brooks in 7th, and Frankie Mossman 8th. Ricardo Escoto in 9th, Nicholas Baptiste in 10th, 11th, Braden East 12th. George Garciarza, Ethan Ho, Logan Adams up to 14th, Adam Fitzgerald in 15th, Nicholas Monteiro, Artie Flores, Charles Finelli, the final drivers to come across the line. Danny Dashelski out early, lap 17. Tyke Durst and Matt Clark not able to get to the halfway point either. A really rough weekend for Matt Clark. No results to show for 3 races. Thomas Schrag from Exclusive Autosports, thank you so much for joining us. I know I said a lot of great sponsors. You got people here in the suite. It's great to have people support talented young drivers like yourself.
Well, thank you, and thank you for having me.
Awesome. Thomas Schrag, folks, follow him on all social media. Have a look at his social. Make sure you give him a follow. A talented young American driver. Very impressive for sure. And we'll see Thomas again, as he said, at the Freedom 75. All part of the Carb Night Classic. If you're here for Indy 500 weekend, come on out to IRP. It is a great night of racing with, of course, the Silver Crown cars and USF 2000, USF Pro 2000. There's your winner right there, Simon Sykes. And I tell you, when you get that victory, he had a rough start to the season, folks. He got into an incident in race number 1, got into the wall, was a really rough wreck. He's been bouncing back, though, had a couple of good finishes at NOLA Motorsports Park. This victory here for Simon, a driver who, again, as I said before, couldn't even put together a full program, a journeyman who had some fantastic results. This will be the emotion you're going to see out of these drivers. Indeed, Simon Sykes getting the victory. A fantastic outside pass in turn number 1 to get by Nikita Johnson. He is now a winner in the USF Pro 2000 category. He'll be pumped for sure for this one. Showing the number 1 there. I like it for Simon. There's Nikita Johnson. He'll take that second place finish. All good for the points. And Lockie Hughes on the podium again. 3 podiums for Lockie Hughes again after a rough week at NOLA Motorsports Park. Huge for him to get the job done. No doubt about that. And brings him back up likely into the top 5 in points. Lockie will be pleased. Not as happy as this guy here, though. Simon Sykes will be thrilled. There's his former teammate right there, Yuvan Sundaramurthy coming over. Jordan Missig again, part of the Pabst Racing program last year. That's the family of Pabst. Those guys continue to follow their drivers, their fellow Pabst racers. And here we have the crew getting set to go. There's Nikita Johnson, Jacob Abel coming up there as well. Of course, Abel very quick, as we know, here in Indy Next. He coaches Nikita Johnson as well. So a number of people coming over to congratulate the drivers getting to the podium today. First and foremost, Simon Sykes, who gets that monkey off the back. That first win in any series is obviously huge, and I'm sure this will be big. There's Hunter McElroy, again, a former Pabst racer, multi-time winner for the team. Everybody loving it for sure. Simon Sykes gets the win. Nikita Johnson in second. Lockie Hughes is third. There you go. Helmet off, head sock off. He'll be a happy man for sure. Peter Dempsey talking to his driver, Lockie Hughes. Peter and Mandy Dempsey, the owners of Turn 3 Motorsports. Big run for Lockie. 3 podiums brings him right back into the fight as we head to the Oval in the Freedom 90 at Indianapolis Raceway Park. They'll get these drivers up into victory lane. We'll get things underway with the podium, folks. Stick with us. More to come. We'll get that podium wrapped up here pretty soon, so stay with us. If you're following on the YouTube channel, we'll come right back. Victory lane presentations.
You can feel confident Continental is the smart choice in tires.
Can they handle extremes?
Yep. Tested from the Texas desert to near the Arctic Circle.
Really?
Really.
Anything for the guy who finds that one pothole?
Yeah, road hazard coverage has your back.
For real?
Absolutely.
Were they made by like a bajillion engineers?
Well, closer to 100. Continental. Welcome to the smart choice in tires.
Over the years, we've chased down a lot of dreams, each one leading to the next, all the way to our most electrifying dream yet. Introducing the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue. Made to inspire the newest generation of dreamers so they can make their dreams a reality. The all-new, all-electric Prologue from Honda.
It's a fresh start. It's a career's on the line. It's a great chapter. I think everybody's goal is to win my life.
All this year is playing together, making a good championship season out of it.
It's the reason to keep me alive and the reason to keep me pushing.
I mean, a lot since I can keep going up the ladder.
All those champions and wanting to become part of that list.
The drivers are racing aggressive with me, I'll race aggressive with them.
The scholarship is incredibly important. It's obviously the goal for every driver.
I'm gonna rewrite what happened last year in terms of that rivalry with him getting the best of me. When you win a race, it's the best feeling ever.
Field is stacked.
Hopefully this year we can have good luck.
Having the scholarship money to move up next year is really all I'm aiming for.
You can feel confident Continental is the smart choice in tires.
Can they handle extremes?
Yep. Tested from the Texas desert to near the Arctic Circle.
Really?
Really.
Anything for the guy who finds that one pothole?
Yeah, road hazard coverage has your back.
For real?
Absolutely.
Were they made by like a bajillion engineers?
Well, closer to 100. Continental. Welcome to the smart choice in tires.
Over the years, we've chased down a lot of dreams, each one leading to the next, all the way to our most electrifying dream yet. Introducing the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue. Made to inspire the newest generation of dreamers so they can make their dreams a reality. The all-new, all-electric Prologue from Honda.
Recognize our podium finishers from our final of 3 USF Pro races this weekend. once again, the voice of the road to Indy. Here's Rob Howden.
Greg, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Getting set to go to wrap things up in this VP Racing Grand Prix of Indianapolis. Another green to checker run for these talented drivers, just 2 steps away from the NTT IndyCar Series. Some of our guests from VP Racing Fuels will help us pass out the hardware to these deserving young drivers. Hey, this is a great drive here again. 3 straight podiums, just like he did last year. He's never finished off the podium here at Indianapolis. Finishing in 3rd spot today from Turn 3 Motorsports, Lucky Hughes. Great job, Lockie. And to present the trophy, Vince Chalice will bring the P3 trophy in here for Lockie Hughes. Great job for him. Big points on the weekend for Lockie to put him back in the middle of the championship fight. Great job there. Big weekend for the driver coming home in 2nd. Couldn't quite get that 3rd straight victory here on the weekend. He ends up in finishing in 2nd. P2 for VRD Racing, Nikita Johnson. Johnson coming home in 2nd. Scott Rake has our hardware here for Nikita. The collection continuing. Scott, thank you so much. Hop up there on top of the podium with them. We'll get a picture there for you. Scott joining us here as part of a big group from VP Racing Fuels, one of our great partners here of the USF Pro Championships. One more position on the podium. We did this a lot last year as a USF 2000 champion, but he breaks the nut here today, folks. His first win in USF Pro 2000 for Pabst Racing. The winner in Indianapolis, Simon Sykes. Simon, you won a lot of races in USF 2000. We've talked about how your career's developed, but this is the first pro win. How big is this?
It's indescribable, really. I mean, we've had such a tough start to the year. You know, a few mistakes, a lot of bad luck, even coming into this weekend. Hopes weren't up, you know, not getting a lap in qualifying, so it was tough. The first 2 races were really rough, but I was lucky to get a lap in the 2nd race to put me at least at the front of the grid with Nikita. But it was a really tough race. It was really hard. I managed to survive the start. We were like 5 wide into turn 1, and then I came out 3rd. I managed to fire off the tires quickly, got by Lockie, and then Nikita, he took off on me. And it looked like he was going to run away with it, and then the pace started to come back to us. And I just, you know, we had to make the most of it. I had such good help from my spotter, Hunter McElray, and Tony's put a good car out there, and the whole Pabst Racing team put all this effort to put me in this spot to go for the win. So I knew I had to at least give it a good shot, and we were able to get around into first and take that first win of the season. I can't believe we've done it. I was kind of surprised it took this long. I mean, I felt like our base has been really strong, just haven't been able to get it done, and it's just such a thrill to finally feel that sense of accomplishment. No better place to do it than the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
A lot of great people behind you. You mentioned the team. Who else do you want to thank today?
The team, massive thank you to the team. All of the USF Pro Championships, without the scholarship, I wouldn't be here. Doug Mockey, he's been a huge supporter of mine last year, and this year wouldn't have happened without him. So mega thanks to them, and big Czech race fans. They're out here supporting this weekend. So happy to have him here, and so happy to give him a win in the home race.
You did this a lot last year. You're doing it this year. Get up on top of the podium. Our winner today, Simon Sykes, folks. Victor in USF Pro 2000. Carmen Batchelor, bring that trophy in here for me. I said Simon's got a collection of championships. He's a SCCA championship runoffs winner. He's won a lot of races in his career, a ton of them last year, en route to being the USF 2000 champion. But for the first time here, he is a winner in USF Pro 2000. What a better place to do it than the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And, of course, Lockie Hughes with great results on this weekend, moving himself back up nicely into the likely top 3 in points. Big one for Simon here. He needed these points, 30 points for a race win. He'll need that to be able to get himself further up the order as well. Again, as I said during the broadcast, these drivers with a lot of testing coming up. Mid-Ohio, Road America. But the next time they go wheel to wheel is on the oval at Lucas Oil Indianapolis Raceway Park for the Freedom 90. That is going to be a fantastic carb night classic again. 3 teams on the podium: Pabst Racing, VRD, and Turn 3 Motorsports. Let's bring some of our guests from VP back in for a group photo here. Again, we're pleased to have a big group from VP Racing Fuels joining us here at the Speedway throughout this Indy Grand Prix weekend. So much great racing still to come. Those of you who have rolled in here on a beautiful Saturday afternoon, as we know, Indy next, the San Diego Grand Prix still coming. Man, you got some great racing for you. It's our job to get things underway. We had 3 races here today, presenting to you the future stars of the NTT IndyCar Series. 4 of our last 6 champions here in Indy Pro are already racing in IndyCar. The other 2 in Indy Next, and Louis Foster and Miles Rowe. We build IndyCar drivers. That's our job here with the USF Pro Championships. Dropping off the champagne. Guys, have some fun. Get that champagne, Lockie. Grip it and rip it, boys. Simon Sykes, your first time as a USF Pro Championship US Pro 2000 race winner. Not surprising, he got the worst of that one. A little clink of the champagne for the boys here. That wraps up our weekend here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Thank you so much, race fans, for being part of it. Those of you tuning in on the YouTube channel, hope you enjoyed all the coverage here from the world's greatest race course. Big thank you, of course, to Michael Young and Greg Rakestraw, who joined me today. Alan Bestwick, who joined us throughout the broadcast yesterday as well. Always a pleasure to be here at IMS, here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. On behalf of Anderson Promotions and Continental Tires, my name is Rob Howden. Bye for now.
Rob, as always, a pleasure.